your battle with this has been going on for 4 years now, but you're learning from other people in the community that they were talking about this 20 years ago, and still nothing. No buyout plan, no offer of compensation for property loss. And so let's go into that for a bit. Your property is now obviously devalued. You're in a contaminated zone. What do the banks take on what's going on here with obviously your property being devalued and you owing still money on it when it's not worth, what you thought it was? Where are they at on it?
So what happens is the valuer general office, he's responsible for land values of all around WA. So what happens is, as soon as they are aware of, the real estate agents and the banks were aware a long time ago, but as soon as the valuer general is aware that we have a problem in this area and it can be deemed contaminated and it's under investigation, then he devalues the area. Now, he's devalued land in this area up to 50%.
Okay.
So we've got a real problem. So your question was what the banks do. Well, then the banks straight away tell any buyer, unless it's obviously if it's a cash sale, they don't need a bank. But if, say for instance, Chris, you went to the bank and asked to buy my house, you had equity in your place, you're going to rent that out, you want to move up here for a bigger lifestyle, more land, and then the bank will say, no, Colin's house is contaminated, we're not going to lend you the money. So that's what's happening now. So people can't sell. We've got one family there that's handed their keys into the bank because they just can't sell. And he was here a few weeks ago when you came down.
I met him.
Spoke to our community.
So he actually is now renting in the suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember right, that was his father who built that house. Is that correct, or am I thinking of someone else?
No, I'm pretty sure it was, yeah.
So he's in a second generation house, third generation with his kids, and he's had to just leave the house, just had to walk away from it, to raise his kids obviously somewhere where it's not contaminated. And just speaking to kids too, when I was here a couple of weeks ago, I noticed that this is having an effect on children too. For a child to be raised in a house where they're afraid of the water that comes out of the tap in Australia in 2020 is absolutely insane. So let's get on to the scheme water. Have you tried to get scheme water here?
Yeah, look, we have. Touching just on the kids, our kids here won't drink the water. They've been brought up not drinking the water from our taps here in our homes in this town. So when they go to school in other areas, they're not drinking the tap water, and they're telling the other kids not to drink the water. So it's a real problem. So the schools have rung, and my son's school has rung us and said, well, look, Duke can't tell the other kids not to drink the water because they're not the water.
Yeah.
But when I said to the teacher, well, look, Duke's growing up in a contaminated area, then they go, okay, well, yeah, we've got a problem. So that's playing on the, as you said.
It's having a massive psychological impact on these children, because it's not just so much that they can't drink out of the water. What it does too is that it breaks a trust in these children that you naturally have, thinking that you live in a safe environment and thinking that you're protected and the world is a just place. And then just something like not being able to drink the tap water throws all of that into question. It's having a deep psychological impact on not just the children, the adults too, but children especially. Children are so trusting and so closed off to the idea of bad in the world that it introduces them to that there's an element of the world that's not safe or doesn't care about them, and that in itself is a great shame. So you would think that the logical course would be that they would just bring your scheme water in here, like everyone else has got copper pipe, runs down the front of the road. Scheme water. What happened with that?
Right. So I'll be quite honest with you. I don't pretend to know everything. Back in when this started, I knew a little bit about politics and government, but I didn't choose to know too much. I had my own life, my own worries. So I went through the process of ringing the council. The council said it's a defence issue, called defence. I ring defence. They say it's an issue for the government, the West Australian government. I ring the government. Now, emails, letters, this is months and months of work every night, every morning. And you go through this whole process and you find out that it's a federal issue. The contaminated land is contaminated by the Commonwealth government, so therefore the land in question comes under Commonwealth government jurisdiction. Right, this is months of research. So now I'm aware that this area of Bullsville, under the contaminated area, is under the Commonwealth government. So therefore, it's a federal government issue. I need to go to my federal member. My federal member is Christian Porter. Oh, great! I voted this guy in.
You voted for him.
So I rang his office. I got a problem. Nothing. This went on, Chris, for probably 6 months. And letters and this and that, no response. 6 months, no calls back until luckily I worked for a lot of influential people in Perth, and I came across one of the ambassadors from another country at work here in Canberra, and I'm tinting his house, and I said, "You got a photo of everyone, every superstar in Australia, every prime minister. Who are you?" He told me who he was. I told him the story. He says, "Well, because it's for their kids, I'll help you." And what a great man. So he was very concerned, and he put me in contact with Christian. He said, "I'm friends with Christian." I said, "Well, just get me a meeting." So I went into Christian Porter's office in town there. He had me searched. He had me questioned because he needed to apparently ascertain if I was a just character to meet him. I finally sat down. And to be quite honest, I ironed my shirt 3 times, thinking, I'm excited to meet this man I voted in, and he's gonna help me. And I walked into his office, and what an absolute arrogant.
You can swear, mate.
This man. I tell you what, if he has a talk somewhere, or if he's at a community fair, I'd like to ask you all to go and meet him, because this bloke is so arrogant, and I can't understand his motives or where he's coming from. The first thing when I explained the situation, he said to me, is if you don't like it, why don't you move out?
And just leave the contaminated mess to the next unsuspecting buyer. That's what he would be happy to have happen.
Yeah. He said, if you don't like it, move out. Basically, that was it. And then I said, back in the day, can you at least somehow lobby to get us either scheme water or some tanks and get them filled up, and people can collect their rainwater? And he says, well, yeah, look, I'll look into it. But anyway, months went past, and then, trying to get back in touch with his office, and Nathan Sierra at the time was his manager down there in Allenbrook, and all they would say to me is, "What do you mean you haven't moved out?"